Yo, what's up, true believers? It's your boy, Frank Brockhart, back in the lab again, digitally cooking up something fantastic. And yeah, the pun was much intended. Today, we're flexing our muscles on none other than Mr. Fantastic.
So here's the deal. When I saw the latest Fantastic Four First Steps designed for Reed Richards, I was like, meh. It didn't really stretch my imagination literally or visually. So I hit the sketch pad with one goal in mind: create a look that merges like the classic vibes with something that's a little bit more sleek and modern. Let's be real. Mr. Fantastic is one of the smartest dudes in Marvel Universe, but he's never really had a suit that matched his brilliance, in my opinion. I mean, stretch powers, cool, scientific genius, dope, but costume game, kind of sucked. It's a little dated, like 1963 a little bit, That's where I come in. I wanted to mix the elements a little bit from the Future Foundation suit. And, the Future Foundation suit is white, is black, and, kind of stealthy like aesthetic. So I kind of mixed up the some ideas that I found from other comics, from from Pinterest or whatever, and just kind of mixed all the ideas together. So let's break it down panel by panel. Now, starting with the color palette, I went for a high contrast kind of white, silver, and black kind of combo. It's sharp, futuristic. I think Tony Stark meets Star Trek a little bit. No unnecessary kind of pimping or whatever, but no weird armor plates or anything like that. Just fluid lines, something that's kind of looks nice and sleek and, something good for Reed Richards or whatever. So, as you kind of zoom in on certain portions, the chest emblem, I kind of stylized it. I gave it the classic Fantastic Four, but it's a more minimalist kind of design, something you would see stamped on Star Trek or something like that, in my opinion, or embroidered in, a NASA suit or something. So I also added some subtle text seams and some little areas, panels and little details to the design a little bit, to make it keep it kind of functional or whatever. But I wanted to still keep it kind of slick and smooth, but give it its own kind of unique identity, and I was also pulling some ideas from the Fortnite, suits and stuff like that as well. So, and yes, I left Reed's face alone. I didn't really do it to Pedro Pascal. I just kind of just designed it the basic design of what Reed Richards usually looks like. So, just some light shading, couple of highlights here and there. Now Pinterest kind of really came through, as far as inspiration, kind of giving it that suit, the realism and the sleek futuristic kind of vibe. Now I did, have other ideas, maybe doing something some kind of code or something, but I was well, no, let me just keep it, kind of slick and modern. I didn't want to vamp it up too much by giving them, coats and different kind of shoes and all that stuff. So I just kind of kept it close to what their suits, kind of a mixture of the Future Foundation and what I found online based on the different comic book designs. Now, let me, just take a second to just talk about the First Steps costume again. Now, at first I felt it was okay, but you know, I've seen some other artists like draw the suit and it looked really nice. You know, they added like details and stuff, kind of pretty much close to how their costumes were on the movie. So, you know, that kind of like, well, maybe I should have drawn it, you know, the suits anyway, you know, but you know, that was their design. I just wanted to do something a little different, you know, so, and I'm proud of what I did. So, you know, but anyway, and don't get me wrong, I do love Fantastic Four. I do like the movie that came out. You know, their suits were, it was okay, but you know, I still like mine a little bit better. So one thing you always get from me is, you know, like a lot of balance between like the homage to the original and a little bit of evolution. So I kept Reed's iconic vibe and I gave him like, you know, kind of like a little bit more energy, a little bit, you know. Added like some little highlights, some glows, you know, to it, you know, kind of like, so you see the suit looks like more slick and, you know, kind of futuristic. I really like that, you know, and his posture, you know, is more confident, you know, without being too cocky. I know the answer to your quantum paradox, but I also have a PTA meeting at 3 because he got his kid and everything. I should have had his kid in there. Ooh, that would be nice. So, you know, there you have it. Mr. Fantastic redesigned, sketch, and, you know, stitched together from the future foundation, from the past, the present, in my own imagination. If you dig this vibe, go ahead and stretch that like button until it turns blue. And also, don't forget to subscribe for more character makeovers, sketch breakdowns, artistic deep vibes. I am Frank Brockart, and remember, creativity is the real superpower. Peace out.